Okay guys, normally I wouldn't do videos like this. I never thought there would be a huge market for just the kind of showcasing what comes in a box set. But every time I make one of these videos, you guys watch it feverishly, ask a bunch of questions, and are very curious about the contents of the box, even though Warhammer community has shown off a bunch of times before. So I decided why not do it with the new Horus Heresy box set Saturnine, show you the contents that come inside of the box set, and talk to you a little bit about my experience of assembling these miniatures, and my experience with some of the other kind of paraphernalia that come with this box set, i.e. the rulebook and the instruction booklet, which is my favorite thing in the entire box set, and I'm going to get to why in 2 seconds. So hopefully you guys are curious about that. I'm going to say it now at the beginning of this video just so we have it out of the way. If you enjoy it, please do like the video, make sure you comment or ask questions, and make sure you subscribe. They cost you nothing, but they make a huge difference as how many people see these videos and how quickly the channel grows. Also, if you want to help the channel further, there's things like Patreon and channel membership for YouTube. They're all linked down below as well. You get a bunch of different benefits of that. I won't go into it, but check it out. And one of the important ones is if you're in the United Kingdom or if you're in the rest of Europe, I have affiliate codes down below. Element Games is if you're inside the United Kingdom. If you want to order up something like Saturnine, you're going to get like 20% off the recommended retail price that Games Workshop's going to charge. It's going to save you a whole heap of money, and if you purchase it using my link below, I'll get a little bit of a kickback as well. So it's a win-win for both of us. And my hobby place does exactly the same thing if you're inside of Europe and outside of the UK. So that sounds like something you're interested in. Like I said, linked down below. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and have a proper look at this Saturnine box set. Okay, so this is the Saturnine box set in all its glory. This is the back side of that said box set. Glorious amount of miniatures you get inside of it. It's actually a truly staggering amount of miniatures. Like, I had to build every single one of these miniatures in the last 3 days for this video, and it was not an easy thing to do. It was quite a slog with the quantity of models you get in the box set. And not that I'm complaining. Who complains about getting awesome amounts of miniatures? Not me. Okay, so this is all of the miniatures that you do get inside of the set. So you do get your Centurion in Mark II power armor. He is actually just incredible. He is actually a little bit more ornate than this in the instruction booklet, but I did actually leave off a couple of other parts. I thought he was a little bit too embellished for me, so there's some like bits that hang down his chest. I'm trying to get it somewhere where it's a little bit more focused. There you go. There's some extra little dangly bits that come down his chest, but I just left those off, and it's fully detailed behind it, so you can choose to. And then there's also a servo skull that kind of floats off from here and sits about here. Not for me. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think a Space Marine would have a servo skull following around the battlefield. It's more of an Inquisitor style thing. So I decided to leave that off again and leave the profile as is, which is beautiful combi bolter, his big power maul, and his Vexilla coming out of his back, which I think is absolutely incredible. So with those little changes in effect, love it. Moving on to the second character, which is of course the Saturnine Praetor. He is an immense figure. He was 3 sprues just himself to construct. There's a bunch of different options in there for a head if you want to have a giant axe as opposed to the big powered hammer. And some extra options for the back of his weapon. This is the one that I end up building. All in all, he was a fairly straightforward build, except for his cape at the back. This bit attaching to this bit and then making contact here and here was actually a bit of a chore and a little bit difficult. I don't know whether I did something wrong previously in the build, which made that bit harder to line up. I don't know. I don't feel like I did, but I just genuinely struggle with that. So if you are building this model, please do keep in mind and have some patience. Make sure all the parts are cleaned up and do a lot of dry fitting before you start attaching that cape. We of course then have a lot of people's favorite thing from this set is of course the beautiful new Mark II Tactical Marines. And they actually give you 40 of those bad boys in the box set. It's quite a lot of miniatures. And they give you 4 upgrade sprues, so if you want to do them as 4 individual squads or 2 20-man squads, whichever way you want to do it. I went for the 4 10-man squads. They give you the 4 upgrade sprues, so you can do 4 sergeants, 4 Vexillas, and 4 of the kind of Vox operator guys. And all the special weapons that go with that. One of the cool things they also included is 2 sprues for the disintegrator weapon options, which are what these guys are equipped with. And I will quickly go to those in the box set as well, which is here. The squad with disintegrators, they give you a whole separate section in the instruction manual on how to construct those and how to include all the destructor ones. One of my favorite things as well is when it gets to this page, the standard weapon is of course the disintegrator rifle, but then you can get a combi disintegrator, a heavy disintegrator, and a disintegrator blaster. And usually when I get to these points in the instructions, I'm like, oh crap, how many of each can it have, and what can the sergeant have? And I end up having to go away and look at a bunch of books and look at rules and all that kind of stuff. They've actually very kindly included this sentence: in each 10-man veteran unit, 2 models may be given either a disintegrator blaster or a heavy disintegrator. I love they put that in the instruction book. That made it my choice so much easier. I got 2 heavy disintegrators in one squad, 2 disintegrator blasters in one squad, and disintegrator pistols on the sergeants. One of them was actually able to construct with, because they do give you a right and a left, and I'm a sucker for dual wielding, so this guy's got 2 disintegrator pistols just because he looks awesome. So I've got no qualms there. Now, they do give you 2 sprues of that, so you cannot build all 40 guys with disintegrator weapons if that's what you're thinking you can do. Only 2 of the 10-man squads can have it. So I don't know whether that matters to you. Didn't matter to me. Personally, I would have probably gone for all bolt guns. I love the traditional bolt gun aesthetic. I just have so many power armored Marines already for the Heresy who are already wielding bolters that I thought it would be a good idea to add in some spice, so the disintegrator weapons got added in for this set for me. These will all be Imperial Fist at some stage and join the glorious correct choice in Legion. We then go on to the kind of odd choice for me, the one that, I don't know, it's the one that I struggle with the most. It's not a bad model at all. Let me just get the actual name of this thing in the instruction booklet because I can never get that name stuck correctly. It is the Aranite Quad Accelerator Platform. And if it was put into like a solo auxilia force or something, I think it belongs there. It looks awesome. As a thing that's used for Space Marines, never really read of Space Marines using like artillery or quads or turrets or anything like that really on the battlefield, attached to, you know, fortresses and stuff, absolutely. But on its legs, I don't know, it's a bit strange. Wasn't a bad one to build at all. It was very, very straightforward. Like I said, this bit's not attached to that bit, so this is the actual, if anything would ever focus on anything I'm trying to show you guys, this is the actual turret section of it. This is obviously a ball turret in there, and controlling the 4 kind of accelerator autocannons in there, which are pretty sweet. And then I haven't glued it yet because it tells you not to, but the legs on it are, so maybe if I decide to give this thing like a scenic base, or maybe it's like deployed on kind of an odd surface on the battlefield, you can have one leg up and one leg down. Like say if I was trying to, let's imagine that this rule book was a building or something, you could always do something funky with it and then still deploy it, and it would still kind of look right and make sense and stuff. So maybe that's their intention. It's kind of cool. I like it. Now we go on to the Marmite miniatures for this set. Hopefully I'm allowed to say that. You guys are happy enough to me make that comment, which is the Saturnine style bits and pieces. And I have to admit, when I first saw the revealed Saturnine box set, the Saturnine stuff did not jump out as something that I was crazily excited about. The aesthetic didn't really jump off the kind of pages for me. And I'm here to tell you now that over the course of the last couple of weeks, my opinion has changed on them a little bit by little bit by little bit. And now that I've constructed them and held them in my hand, they're awesome. Like, they are such beefy miniatures. Like, they stand so much taller than a Marine. The idea that they teleport into the battlefield firing these crazy kind of esoteric weaponry, I think is incredible. They took quite a long time to build. It was like 4 or 5 hours to construct the 6 of them. There's assembly line though, so it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like other kits where each one is a different set of parts. It was very much cut out all the parts for 6 left legs, cut out all the parts for 6 right legs, cut out all the parts for 6 torsos, and then glued them all together. So you could assembly line them, which made the process not as bad at all. So like I said, I wasn't a big fan. I slowly turned, and during the construction process, I think they're absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to actually get them on the table and get them on my painting desk and get some paint on them. They're going to look amazing yellow. And then of course, sorry, his arm has fallen off. It's not actually glued on just yet. The Saturnine Dreadnought is also a gigantic brute. Lots of people are curious on the size of this thing, so I did bring out my Leviathan Dreadnought, so you guys can get a little bit of an idea of the size comparison. It's definitely a lot bigger and a lot beefier. There was an image online going around saying that it was so much bigger than the Custodes Dreadnought. I think that was just the angle of the photograph, because he's not actually that much shorter. Obviously not as bulky, but still a very impressive sight in the battlefield, the Talaman Dreadnought. But yeah, there's a bit of a size comparison for you if you were so curious. I haven't decided on his weapons. He's got some extra hull mounted weapons and stuff there. Don't get options for his cannons, But what I will say about that is the entire torso of the model was one sprue, and then the weapons were a separate sprue. So I could definitely see it in the future, that sprue getting swapped out for a more combat-orientated Saturnine Dreadnought. You get something kind of crazy with some kind of incredible close combat weapons like that. So they tend to do that a lot with a lot of the Dreadnoughts, so I might imagine we will get that in the near future. So that breaks down all the different kind of model kits. Is there anything really standoutish I think I need to tell you? Honestly, the only problems I had were capes. Like I said, his cape was a bit of a pain. And then in the instructions with this particular guy, it tells you to stick the cape together and then try and put it on the back after the backpack goes on. And there's just no way of doing that. So the backpack does need to go on first because you can't get that under it. But this cape is kind of separated. I think the instructions was meant to say put one side of the cape on and then put the other side on and then glue the kind of the seam together, if that makes sense. So I think if you keep that in mind when you're constructing him, you won't have any problems whatsoever. The only other little odd thing I found was in the normal Marine kit, it gives you the option when you're doing the kind of constructy bits of it. It talks about what the sergeant can hold, and it talks about give him a plasma pistol. Obviously, he can have a bunch of different options. I don't think that every single sergeant in every single squad would have a plasma pistol. So I was like, okay, I'll give one a plasma pistol and the rest bolt pistols. There's not a single bolt pistol in this box set. No Mark II's bolt pistols exist, and on any of the upgrade sprues, there's no bolt pistols. So I've got this guy here who is in desperate need of a bolt pistol. You can see his hand is currently missing. So at some stage, hopefully I will get my hands on a bolt pistol for him, and I'll get to glue that into place. So that was a weird thing, no bolt pistol. I'm not going to go into a huge in-depth thing about the rulebook. A million other channels are going to show you all the rules and how all that works. All I can say is, it's beautiful. It's all full color and it's just awesome. It's a lot of rules. I'm not too keen on lots and lots of rules. It kind of scares me a little bit when it comes to getting started with new rule systems. But that brings me to my favorite thing about this box set. My absolute 100% favorite thing is this, which is the rulebook. The instruction booklet, which is this. But it's not just an instruction booklet. It's an introductory rules and miniatures construction guide. So when you get to this bit, I think it's before that. Yeah, when you get to this bit, this is the beginning of the construction guide. Obviously everything is super clear, all the colored sprues, lets you know what you're supposed to have and how you're supposed to have it, and then it goes into full colored. Options are in yellow, all the different lines are meant to go, stuff like that. This is the bit that I was talking about. It tells you to put these two pieces together, and then after that you attach them onto the model. I don't even think that's humanly possible. So I think you're supposed to leave these two pieces separate and then kind of fit them on around the backpack and then glue them, if you know what I mean. Just give that a try. But anyway, but at the start of this booklet, which is only a couple of pages, they give you an introductory to the bloody rules. So prepare to enter the Age of Darkness. What is a battle? Winning a battle? Starting a battle? The movement phase? Reactions? All the different coherencies? Making rushes? Reposition? Fire? All those kind of bits. The shooting phase? How it works? How to shoot? Checking your range? Roll to hit? Destroying models, how armor saves work, the wound table, the combat phase, exactly the same thing, how to charge, set up move table, how to fight a combat, and literally has everything, initiative modifiers, determine who fights, veterans, blah 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 blah, -1, how modifiers work, how the Saturnine Terminators work, some profiles, how all the profiles work and what they mean, and then we're into that. So that is 12 pages, 13 pages, which teaches you how to play the very basic format of this game. This thing everybody needs to know about this. This is so important because I know there's a bunch of veterans out there that might be watching this video that are like, we know how the rules work. We like big, complicated, chunky rules. And I get that. And I'm glad that you have a game system that is big and chunky and has loads of crazy, complicated rules, because clearly you guys are into that kind of intricacies. But some of us who just really, really like the lore and it's hard for us to just dive into this kind of a rules manual, especially when it's not our primary game. It can be super intimidating. So I think if this became more well-known, I think these 13 pages should be available as a free download. I think if lots of people read that, you would get so many more players who are more than happy to dive in and get involved in the Horus Heresy after reading this. That is my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. A couple of extra things they give you are some awesome reference cards. I always appreciate when a box set gives you 2 reference cards. Therefore, if you're playing against somebody, you can give them one and you can have one. I love that. It's super simple, but it makes all the difference. All the charts are there. Super easy, super handy. Love that. Beautiful transfer sheet, which doesn't apply to very many people. It does have some Legiones Astartes standard iconography, but then it has Iron Warriors and Salamanders. So I'm not doing Iron Warriors or Salamanders for the Horus Heresy. So I'll be giving this to a good friend of mine who does Iron Warriors. And I'm sure he will be using these for his miniatures and moving forward. And then obviously you get some plastic tokens. I do like the fact that these aren't cardboard. I know Games Workshop is crazy excited with adding cardboard tokens to things. I just find that I don't take care of cardboard tokens. They get lost, or they get scuffed, or they get thrown out. Once it's plastic, it feels like it's almost a miniature. So I'm more likely to take care of it. Maybe even spray these up and get some paint on them maybe. I just think it's really nice. It's a really nice addition to it. Orange templates for normal things. The measurement ruler is very interesting. This actually is not a new design. This first appeared in the Hobbit box set back in the day when they first did their first Hobbit box set, and it was in brown plastic at that point. But yeah, it's a fold-out measuring stick. Obviously, it goes from 1 to 24 inches. It's very clear as to your distances and measuring and stuff like that. I think it's a step up from the old whippy sticks, which we used to just hit each other with. So I'm kind of glad that's a thing. It's just nice they bothered to put a little bit more effort into it. So that is my first thoughts and impressions on the Age of Darkness Saturnine box set. A little bit ranty. Hopefully you picked up some useful information from that box set. Obviously I couldn't tell you everything I thought, or we'd be here for 2 hours. But that's what the comment section are for. If you have a question about this box set that you think that I can answer for you, whether it's building, whether it's something on the rules, whether it's any of the other bits and pieces that come in the set, please don't hesitate to ask the question, and I will get back to all of you who ask questions on this video, I promise. I will not miss a single one. And yeah, I will be moving forward in the next couple of weeks with about 1 million painting videos on all of these. If you are new to the Heresy and you're wondering, I already have 1 million videos. I've got a video on how to paint every single other Legion in the Heresy in one playlist. So all 18 Legions that participate in the Heresy, I have a video on how to paint them up. Plus stippling on tanks and how to paint Primarchs and all sorts of bits and pieces. So yeah, my playlist for the Horus Heresy is always quite large, and it will just get expanded with this stuff. It's another thing I'd like to see in the comments. What from this box set would you like to see in a video, and why? And obviously that will help me decide what to do next. Alright, thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. Hopefully you found it useful, and I will see you across the battlefield.